YouTube. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob. And today we're going to do part 2 of the brake system and show you what we're going to do. We've done a few changes and made different plans to make this work. So you're going to have to make a whole lot of modifications to make this work. It's going to work. It's just a matter of finding the right stuff to work with. And we'll bring you up here in the front and show you what we're doing as far as hooking the brake pedal up. So right here is the original block. You got one in, two out. And then this bolt bolts it to the frame bracket. Alright, so I made this piece, and it's rough right now. I haven't trimmed it or anything. I've just got it in there. I got to take it back out and kind of round them edges off, make it look a whole lot nicer, and then wire wheel it all, make it nice and pretty. But what we've done is we're not going to mess with this system. Originally, I was thinking that I could possibly use this master cylinder for all of them, but I'm not going to do that. So we're just going to leave this intact. And I don't know what just happened. It got bright for some reason. Alright, so then we mounted the proportioning valve, or the block for the Polaris right here underneath on this bracket I just made, and it just screws on with two screws on the back side of it. You have an in, out, out, and out on the other side here. This one over here goes to the rear brakes because it's a smaller, it takes the smaller threaded piece that goes on it. I don't know what you call that, furrow, whatever. Alright, so this one we have to leave open. These two, however, we need to block them. So what I did, I went and found one of these fittings that goes on the end of a brake line, and it's threaded right in there. Alright, well then what I need to do is I needed to find a plug for this. So instead of looking for a plug, these things are recessed, as you can see, and will seal on that flange that's inside there, as you can see. Well, what I did was I called my buddy Dale, who's about 15 miles from me, and said, what can we do about that? And at first we was going to braze it. Well, I'm not very good at brazing, so he offered me to come over there and he would braze them for me. Well, the problem with brazing is I didn't want to disturb this part. I wanted that flange to stay just the way it was. So what we've decided to do was this. We took a 1/4-20 straight head screw and turned it down so that it was smaller than the 7/16 wrench, so that I could still get the 7/16 wrench on it. We drilled halfway in the middle, tapped it out with a starting tap, and then we finished it off with a bottoming tap, and then he made the brass washers that goes on it. So this will now screw in there and block them off, and we made 2 of those. So we got that, then we got number 2, and that one screws into the bottom of that. Now, we'll tighten those up, and these will be sealed. So now we have one out, or one in, and one out. And then this line right here will be bent to go in around all this stuff and down to this rubber hose. This rubber hose, oh no. Oh, I thought that was messed up. It had stuff on it. This rubber hose is designed to be put in place so that when the swing arm moves, this here flexes with it. So we got to straighten this out and try to see if we can't. I want to try to get it to go, I don't know, we might go up through underneath the tank where everything else goes, right up underneath here. So I don't know if this is long enough, but we'll find out. And then that will take care of the master cylinder. So the master cylinder is going down through here, down to the block, and then we'll have the line coming from here, somewhere down through here, and it'll go to right here somewhere. That's this line right here that we're going to use. We're going to try to. I'm hoping it's long enough. We may have to go buy some line and then take these fittings off of this line and just rerun us a new one. But I don't think that's necessary. I think this one's long enough because I think this is aluminum, so it should be easy to bend with no problem. However, that line is not aluminum. That line is steel, so because it's rusty. We'll have to wire wheel that and I guess paint it. So let me take this fender off and we'll show you what we've got going, what I changed my mind on. So what we've done here is I ran a piece of wire and taped it to the rotor. The reason for that wire is to keep the caliper from going all the way down onto the rotor. That way, when I welded this piece to the side of the rear end, this ain't going to be down, and then when I go to put the caliper on, it ends up hitting the rotor. So we don't want that. So we want to have some kind of clearance between the caliper and the rotor. And I just figured that, you know, that would be plenty wide enough. So we taped it to the the rotor, and then set this down on there just like that. And so I made these brackets and caved this in with the grinder to go around the rear end. So now all I have to do is put the caliper down on it, make sure it's centered, and to make sure this is straight, before I go to weld it, what I'll do is cut me a board or something to put in between here and clamp it to the rotor, because the rotor's going to be on it when I weld, and I'll weld on this side over here so there's no chance of weld getting onto the rotor. So this is the idea. We want to make sure that this split is center to the rotor. So it's just a matter of finding a shim to shim between here and here, because I'll have to take the rear end and all and take it in there to the vise, put it up in the vise, clamp it into the vise, and then I'll have to do all my measuring, make sure that it's centered, and then weld it. All right, so then my lines will come through through these eyes right here, and that one there's bent, so I got to straighten it back up. And then our lines will hook up right here. And yes, I'm seriously thinking about doing the same, or just using the same system, use a foot pedal too. So I'll show you what we got with that and how that's going to work. Remember, this top one here goes to the handbrake. That goes to this line right here. All right. This one will then go to this line right here. So what you have here is the cylinder that pushes, and when this pushes, it presses hydraulic fluid or brake fluid through this line. And then this is basically it's just a master cylinder. The only difference between this and another master cylinder is that this cup is there instead of on a hose. And the reason they done it that way is because you didn't have enough room for the cup to go down here, and you notice it's an unpressurized hose. So it's just allowing fluid to go down in it. And when you push this, no pressure goes to that way, it goes that way. So basically, this will mount wherever the brake pedal is going to be. Let me move that out of the way there. This will go in here like that, so to speak, somewhere. We'll have to reroute it, but this will mount where the pedal is. And then this will mount right there somewhere. So I got the pedal. I got the pedal also, so we've got to figure out how to mount this pedal. And this is where the original one mounts, so I don't know if we can use that for it or not. It's a good possibility that we can waller that hole out and put this bolt in there, and we will have to make an extension to this to mount this. Or we can make a new plate that mounts to here and uses this bolt here to mount there, to mount both of those, and the other piece will go in behind that and come down to where we can mount that right there, just like that. Depending on where this goes. I can't really do that until I'm ready to measure where my foot's going to be. I have to put the original one on it, find out where this part here is supposed to be. Once we figure out where this foot part's going to go, then we can put this one into place to where it's going to be. So we may use that hole and waller it out, and then we can drill a hole here. In fact, that hole's already there, so we might be able to use that hole to go in there like that. That looks almost more normal. And then this mounts right there. And then this hose goes through that hole there, and that's where it mounts. And then when you push the pedal, it pushes this master cylinder in. So we've got the stuff to do this with, and I'm just going to go ahead and use the foot brake. Originally I wasn't going to. That's how fast things can change around here at the Bison Workshop. I can tell you one day that I'm going to do it one way, and then the next day I'll tell you I'm going to do it another way. That's simply because between the time I talked to you the first time to the next time I talk to you, then I've had plenty of time to think about this. And believe me, I am thinking about it. I'm constantly thinking about how I can do this and make it much better with as little effort, but with the maximum performance. So you know, it's just a matter of figuring out where things are supposed to go in relations to your foot. So you have to mount the original one on. Note where the this part's at, and as long as you get this in the location that the old one went on, it doesn't matter how you mount it. Just this in here, this part here is the most important part. Putting it in the orientation that you need so that it works exactly like the original. So we may have to make a new bracket. I don't know. I'm going to try to use this because for simple reason, it's spring loaded. It's got a good spring to it to bring it back up. I like this pedal. And yeah, it needs cleaned up, and it will be cleaned up. And then we can mount this master cylinder to it and mount the whole thing on there. So that's where we're at right now for the rear brake or rear disc system for the Big Bear. Now today, while I was over at Dale's, and thank you very much, Dale, for helping me do that. Yeah, I could have done it here, but you know, we thought we was going to braze it the first time, so it just ended up, I just rather do it this way because the brazing would have went down deeper than I wanted and hit the flange, and I want that flange to seal just like it would be if it was a brake line on it. So anyway, I'm not going to do any welding in this video. This is just to kind of explain how I plan to do this. And originally I was going to make this work, but I want this right here to be exactly where it would have been if we had the drum brakes on it. So this wasn't going to work. It was going to set this out too far and put this closer to the wheel. And we've got this much clearance between the wheel, and we've got about this much clearance on the top. So we're good. We've got plenty of clearance for it. So this wasn't going to work because in order for this to work, this plate would have been right there, and you can see how much of a difference it would have brought it out this way, and it would have caused this wheel to be setting out of the fender further than the other side. We can't have that. We can't be having people thinking Bison's all lopsided. So to keep this in the original location, I opted to do it the way they did on the Polaris. They have two ears that comes up like that this mounts to. So I just went out there and looked at that one and said, well, you know what? I got steel to do it with, so why don't we just use that? So, so we are going to use the handbrake and the foot brake. I don't know how we're going to do it, but it will be done. And no, I'm not going to make kits. It ain't hard enough the first time. I'm not going to make any kits. If you want to make one, there you go. I'm telling you how to do it. And make sure. I thought about this last night. I said, you know what? That would really suck if somebody was watching my video and they started doing all the stuff and making a piece to go on there like I said, and then go to the next video and see, oh my God, he did it different. Now I gotta go redo it. Watch all my videos before you set into doing it. Because what I said in the first video might not be the same in the 8th video. So it might even look a whole lot different. Might have even went a whole new direction. So watch all my videos on that subject before you start cutting any metal. So I just believe that this is the best route to go. It looks a whole lot better. Now once I've got this welded on there, then I'll take the grinder and grind that off and then shape it and make it look a little better. So I just think that the best place to put it's on top. That's where they had it on the Polaris, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the top, simply because the sides, from side to side, is not as wide as it is from the top to the bottom. It's wider. So then these here would have been spread a little further. So we kind of want them to stay, they're almost parallel. So basically, I've got them tight right now so I can, that's about what it looks like when it's on the rear end. So the rear end will go right here in this, and then we'll weld here. And then once we've got this welded, then we'll take everything off and then we'll weld this side. And then we'll just trim this off right here on the bottoms, get all this off of there, and we'll be left with these two pieces here, and this will be plenty. I don't see any reason why this wouldn't work. It's exactly the way it is on the Polaris. So just make sure that the rotor is centered to this breakaway. This is two halves, and the two halves come together to the center of your rotor, and then you put this wire on the rotor to allow clearance. Once you've got it welded, once you've got it mounted, you can take that wire out, you'll have your clearance. It won't ever hit. The only thing that's going to hit is going to be your pistons that pushes your brake pads in it. I also found out what year this came off of. That Polaris is a 2000. It's a 2000 Expedition 325 4x4. So if anybody needs any parts, I'm going to have some parts left over. Now I'm not going to get rid of no parts until this job's done. Because if I do this job and I sold something on that I needed, I'm going to be pissed. So we're going to, I may take that handlebar that was on the Polaris and put on here also. I don't know yet. It's in better shape than this one. But it doesn't matter. So there you have it. And we'll see if this is going to work. Now in the next video, we'll probably be doing some welding. I don't feel like doing any welding today. I'm just trying to get everything prepared in its location where this is going to go. Now today I've done the where to mount the block, which is probably what I will call this, locating the distribution block. So again, thank you very much, Dale, for helping me out. I've been wanting to come up and see him anyway, so he's been to my house several times. Man's been real good to me, and I try to be just as good to him as he is to me. So anyway, one more thing we need to touch on. Alright, this is the original brake lever. Alright, it's got this switch on here. When you pull, what this switch is for is if you're not in neutral, it won't start, but it will start if you pull the lever. So when you pull this lever, it connects the contacts in here. and allows the motor to start. Well, I don't know, and I'm not going to be able to find out until I've got this system closed and bled and pressure. Simply because the switch that's on this one is a little different. As you can see, it's got this round switch right here that has 2 contacts on it. I'm hoping that this is exactly the same as that switch down there, just in a different form. So I'm hoping that I can take this, and I've got a new pigtail, or another pigtail like the original, that I can hook to this. But I've got it real long right now because I don't know how much wire I'm going to need. But this will go up in behind here and be hidden somewhere. And I'm hoping that when we push the brake pedal, once we've got this bled out and it's got pressure on it, that when we hit the brake pedal, it pushes this and causes this to do exactly the same thing as pulling the handle on the Big Bear. If that's the case, this is going to be an easy fix. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this video right now because it's getting hot in here and I need my fan. I had to turn my fan off in order to do a video. I'm definitely got to get air conditioning in this building. I'll have to go to Walmart and get one of them $99 air conditioners to put in here because I definitely got to have AC in here. It's been unbelievably hot today. At least it ain't raining. So, this is going to be a nice bike with the luxury of having rear disc brakes. I just think that's going to make a whole lot better braking system. Them drum brakes, I can't stand them. I can't even stand to adjust them on customers' four-wheelers because it's just, you're making movements for nothing. Because I guarantee you, sorry y'all was up there in the air, I guarantee you that in a month's time, on these Big Bears, adjusting them drum brakes, the rear drum brakes, they're going to be coming back. All they need to be adjusted again. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Please guys, hit that dislike. That puts me up in the ratings that much further. I just found that out. So please dislike this video.